Hey, what's up, guys? So, we just saw United beat Luton Town 3-0 in the EFL Trophy, EFL Cup, whichever it's called, and it was pretty much what we expected. It's almost another pre-season game. That kind of a vibe. We were pretty leggy in parts, especially in the first half. But as things started to warm up, we definitely improved as the game went on. Obviously, I think we actually started not too badly, a little bit of energy. Then Luton came right back into it in the middle part of the first half. And by the end of the first half, I think United were just about in the ascendancy again. Obviously, then picked up the penalty from Brandon Williams, burst into the box, and pretty dumb tackle from their guy. What was he called? I can't remember. Shinnie, was it? Monker. It was Monker who gave away the penalty, and obviously you're expecting Juan Mata to score from there, so that was really, really great to see. I think pretty much job done. I'm not going to shout too much about the result or the performance because I think it's pretty much what we all expected. You should be beating a championship side, even with a rotated side like we did, and even before the substitutes in the second half, we were pretty comfortable at that point. I only really can think of the one save Dean Henderson had to make, which, although relatively, flashy and stuff, I think he was pretty comfortable with that. The block off the line with Bailly afterwards was pretty good though. So yeah, I think we were pretty comfortable, and had we needed to switch things up, as you saw, we had players in reserve who could come on straight away and literally just tear them to pieces, and that's pretty much what happened. So I'm pretty satisfied with the result. I wouldn't say more than that, I wouldn't say less than that. I'm not angry at anything that happened. I think that was a pretty solid performance and kind of par for course in this kind of a game. So yeah, I think that's pretty much all we can say there. I do want to talk about Eric Bailly. I think there was one moment where he was a little rash, but he made the tackle in the second half. Other than that, I think he's probably made his claim to be the starting centre half alongside Harry Maguire. I don't want to see Victor Lindelof back in the side. I think Bailly fundamentally is a better partner. He's got pace. He's got some form of intensity that Lindelof does not, and he also has that physical presence that's you're comfortable that if someone goes on against Bailly one-on-one, either Bailly is going to stop him or he's going to tackle him. You're not getting past Bailly, and that is better than Lindelof because I don't have that confidence with him. The only place he's particularly decent is down the channels. He's pretty good cutting things out in that kind of an area, a covering for the right back. Usually, although we saw a complete lack of that when we played Crystal Palace, so that's been missing from his game, and I think there are too many things missing from his game. You even saw Bailly stepping out of the defence and driving forward, and that was nice to see. And I think overall it gives us a much more solid and stable platform to build from, and I think you saw the midfield in front much more relaxed, although it was Matic who is pretty cool and collected character in general, but I felt like the midfield had a better platform to work with and were more confident and safe in behind, knowing that Bailly has pace to cover if need be, and Maguire's obviously imperious in the air. So that's kind of what I would say there. Let's go back through the rest of the team. Should we do a bit of a rating? Why not? So Dean Henderson was pretty good. I'd give him maybe a 7 or 8 out of 10. I mean, he only had the one save to make. He looked pretty comfortable. Was quick off his line a couple of times to sweep up. So yeah, I don't think you can be too critical there, and I don't think you need to be too OTT in the praise either. I think he did what he needed to do, and certainly didn't make any howlers or anything like that. So good start from Dean, and I think he is exactly what David De Gea needs, because he hasn't had a challenge, and I think the internal challenge between two goalkeepers who've clearly got quality will make a huge difference in the long run. I think we'll see United improve rapidly in the goalkeeping department. just as these two spur each other on, hopefully to higher and higher heights, greater and greater heights. So yeah, happy there. Wan-Bissaka, pretty solid, nothing spectacular. Did beat his man a couple of times going up the right wing, but obviously we know that's not his strength. I don't think he had too much to do defensively. It was more of positional work, just making sure he wasn't getting beaten on the inside. So I'm pretty happy with his game. Obviously we spoke about Bailly and Maguire, both pretty comfortable. I was very, very happy with the stability of the backline there. And then Brandon Williams, probably my star performer of the backline. Absolutely ridiculous yellow card that he got given for a really, really nice clean tackle. This is one of the things that really, really winds me up. I'm all for respecting the referees and giving them their due and not shouting in the face and all that sort of thing. But this kind of respect has to come both ways. And for me, if I was as poor as some of these referees in my job, I would be struck off. I wouldn't be allowed to practice dentistry any further. So from my point of view, I think you have to call people out when they're making obvious mistakes, and there doesn't seem to be any recourse when this happens. Brandon was absolutely done there. Absolutely no need for a yellow card for a really clean tackle. So I feel pretty hard done by for him. He was a little bit sloppy towards the start of the first half, but really tightened things up and was really effective going forward. Incisive runs into the box, underlapping and overlapping. So really happy with what he was doing there. Saw left-footed and right-footed crosses into the box from him, or balls in across the channels for him. So I think he was the pick of the defenders today. Moving into midfield, Fred was pretty good. He's normally pretty solid, and I think we saw a continuation of his form from last season. Nothing particularly spectacular, but he did progress the ball nicely, and that's all you need from him in these particular situations. Get it into the feet of Lingard, Van der Beek, Mata and Ighalo, and I think that was really nice to see. And similar from Matic, he was really solid, so a nice solid pairing there. Happy to see those guys do well. Moving further forward, we had Juan Mata, obviously the goal scorer today, so that was really good to see. Beautifully taken penalty. None of this hop, skip and jump stuff. Even when Bruno does it, I know he doesn't really miss, but it does make you a little worried when he does that. Although I think we're going to see a lot more of the stuttering run-ups with the keepers not being able to come off the line anymore, and being penalised much more readily. I do think that they should probably change the rule on that particular one. I think as soon as the standing foot lands, the keeper's allowed to move. I think that's what it should be, not when the ball's played, because if players are going to be faffing around and slowing down the leg when they're kicking and things, you should give the keeper a little bit of a chance. It's already a spot kick from as punishment for an infringement, but I think we do need to slightly not make it such an impossibly difficult proposition for keepers. So that's what I would be in favour of there. Let me know what you think about that, guys. So I'm thinking with a penalty, the keeper should be allowed to start moving once the standing foot has planted. So yeah, that's that. I'll go back into the player review. So Juan Mata was really good. Some nice touches, good passes as usual. Although you could clearly see the lack of pace, which is always the issue that one has, but a good game from him nonetheless. And it's good that he's still here. I think we definitely need strength and depth, and he has got obvious quality. I would prefer to see him down the middle, but with the lack of any sort of right wingers in the club, I think we're going to be resigned to seeing him as a inside forward, wide playmaker sort of role. Moving across the line, we had Donny van der Beek in the number 10 role, and he was really sharp. He's actually much taller than I thought, which is a surprise to me. I don't remember him being so tall when I've watched Ajax, but then I maybe wasn't really keeping an eye out for him in particular, but I'm very happy with how he's played and how he's kind of fit in. You can see him making runs into the box. He's got good one-touch control. Let me just mute that. He's got great one-touch control, good understanding with the players or other players already, and I think he's going to be a really key component to the squad. You can see already this is a game that we might have had to play the likes of Bruno last year, or someone like Andreas Pereira, whose quality is clearly not up to the same level as Donny van der Beek. So he has been, I'm not going to say a revelation because we all knew he was a good player, but it's going to be a revolution in terms of what we're able to do with the squad and being able to give midfielders time off while still having some form of an attacking output. Then we had Odion Ighalo as the number 9. I think he did everything that we're expecting from him. He was fairly strong in the hold-up play, brought others into play well, so I'm happy with what he did there. I do think he needs to carry a bit more of a goal threat, maybe a bit more industrious in certain areas, although I do feel sorry for some of these guys because every time we see this sort of a lineup, it's always a huge change from what I recognise number 11, starting 11 is. I would like to see slightly less. I would like to see some of these guys in a slightly less rotated side, because Odion Ighalo, who's being supplied by, Martial, Rashford, Bruno, and Pogba, as opposed to Mata, Lingard, Matic, and Fred, is going to be a completely different situation. So that's something that might be interesting to see when he's actually played alongside some of the more creative and recognised first-team players or first-pick players. But decent performance nevertheless. And then we go on to probably my man of the match. So Jesse Lingard, I think he was at the forefront of everything good the whole game, especially before Bruno, Mason and Marcus came on. I think he was the impetus. Yes, he misplaced a couple of crosses, and yes, he lost the ball a couple of times, but as an attacking player, you expect your creative spark or your playmaker to be much more towards the 60 and 70% pass completion in the final third, or action completion in the final third. So I'm not bothered about him losing the ball there. What you don't want to see is people losing the ball in our own third, in our own half. So that's something that I'm not too fussed about. I think he did really, really well. I think hopefully his personal problems have been put behind him, and we should see a much, much stronger and happier Jesse Lingard going forward. And if we do see that, hopefully we'll start to see the Jesse Lingard who is putting in 10 goals in a season and 10 assists. I think that would be an impressively... not impressive. It would be a very, very key thing for him to do for his career and for United, just to bring those numbers back up to where they should be. And don't forget, he only really came into the team the same time as Marcus Rashford. He was a very, very slight individual. So you could think about the difference between a Jesse Lingard and a Wayne Rooney at 27, where Jesse Lingard has been playing for 3, maybe 4 years, whereas Wayne Rooney had been playing 10 years. So you could actually maybe think of Lingard as much earlier on in his Manchester United career and longevity. I expect him to be someone who plays into his late 30s. So you could say he has got a long way to go, even though he is already 27. So I think it'll be interesting to see what happens with him. If he doesn't pick up the form, then I wouldn't be surprised to see him leave. But if he does start to pick up form, I wouldn't be surprised to see him at the club for a long time. And that's what I hope happens, because he is a great option to have. Probably the best off-the-ball movement that we have currently, because he is non-stop. He's always trying to make something happen. And it's just about getting himself into a groove, into a rhythm with the players around him. And once that happens, you really, really do see a really good Jesse Lingard. He's also been shown previously that he's had the killer touch in big games. So you think back to Spurs when he won the ball back, played it to Pogba, and then went over the top to Rashford for the 1-0 at, was it White Hart Lane, or was it the new stadium back then? But that, you know the game I'm talking about, and there's been countless examples of that in large games where Lingard has been the guy who's done something. FA Cup final, in the horrible 3-1 defeat, he was the one who scored the equalising goal before Liverpool got 2 more deflected goals. So there's lots and lots of quality there. Just need to see whether he can bring it back to the fore and whether he can live up to the quality that he undoubtedly has. And that's the starting 11. We obviously then had 10 minutes of Bruno, Mason and Marcus. You could just see the instant difference in quality of Bruno Fernandes. He is a master kind of manipulator of the ball. The pass to Mason for his goal was sublime. He was involved in the build-up for Rashford's goal as well. Pretty sure he was anyway. So you can see the absolute level in quality of him versus the guys who came off, and I think it just shows what we miss when he's not playing, but equally it shows where our backup players should aspire to, or should be a little closer to. Hopefully we'll see that these guys pick up as they gain match fitness. So yeah, Bruno's just awesome, isn't he? And then we had Marcus Rashford, great first touch for the goal, and great to see him on the score sheet. I'm glad that he got most of the game off and just had a 10-minute run around, because he did look not quite up to the races, not quite fit in the Palace game. So hopefully that's giving him some minutes into the legs, and he's going to take some confidence from the goal. And then we come to Mason Greenwood, a goal and assist in just over 10 minutes. Absolutely brilliant. I think he's going to break Rooney's record. The question is whether he can also break Dennis Law's goals in a season record, which I think is 46. If he does that, that is going to be he's going to be probably the best England player of all time. I'm gonna call that as his potential. I'm not going to say that he's actually going to reach that, but that's the potential that he has. He could be the guy who, when you look at all the records, goals scored, Premier League goal scoring records, all those kinds of things, he has definitely got the quality due to the two-footedness and due to the early nature in which he takes his shots that keeps keepers off guard. Defenders are used to defending an area which is slightly closer to goal, but Mason is adept at shooting from slightly further out than usual, and at difficult angles with both feet. That makes it exceptionally difficult to anticipate and defend against. So I think we're going to see him continue to outperform the expected goals. And I think I will do a video on XG, because having a look at Twitter, people clearly don't understand what it is. So yeah, if he'd been on the pitch longer, I probably would have given him man of the match, but I couldn't really give that for a 10-minute cameo. But he is absolutely incredible. Probably the generational talent within the Premier League at the moment. I think there's no one who's anywhere near to him in terms of ability, in terms of potential ceiling, and let's hope that he lives up to it. Anyway, that's that pretty quick one for today's game, guys. Let me know if you enjoyed the game. Thumbs up if you're satisfied with the result. Thumbs down if you thought we were terrible and hated everything. Let's see what happens in the next one. Oh yeah, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and check out my other channel as well, Hot Pot Podcast, if you're interested